So I'm out here on Frisbee Ridge today, and with this whole snow year this year, we've been about a meter short in our normal snowpack, and I've been pretty curious. It's been really cold on the mountaintops lately, and we're not used to that. We're used to a 2 meter snowpack pretty quick, and we were at a meter for a bit. And with those cold temperatures, we can really promote the fastening process. And so I was pretty curious today to actually get down into the bottom of the snowpack and understand what sort of fasting might have happened at the higher elevations. And as you can see out here, I'm up at tree line about ridge top on Frisbee Ridge, about 1,850 meters. And I've dug down, and now the ground's about 2 meters deep up here at ridge top. And that surface hoar layer right here is down 126 centimeters, which we can still get our stress from a snowmobile down that deep to tickle that weak layer. So we got to be cautious of that. But what I found down here in the bottom part of the snowpack is that fastening process, it just didn't really get that well promoted. It had started, and we're starting to get those grains, those facet grains from that warm air being pulled through the snowpack here, but it just didn't grow over a wide area. So I'd have to say, where the snowpack's down around 2 meters deep at this point, we're now isolated. We can't get that cold air to draw the moisture from the ground through the snowpack anymore because it's too insulated. So this fasting problem up at these deeper parts of the snowpack is probably resolved and not going to continue to grow. But you're going to still have to be a little cautious out there on the shallow parts of the snowpack where maybe the facets had a chance to grow over top of the ground cover. So, it's not quite gone yet, but like we were talking about earlier, we still had to be a little bit cautious about shallow spots in the snowpack and the potential for fastening issues. Even though the majority of the mountain is covered in 2 meter snow, there is certain sections that are kind of shallow. And with this cold temperatures that we've been having, we could still have facets that have grown quite aggressively in those shallow points of the snowpack. And as we were traveling through the terrain here, closer to mountaintop, and that's basically tree line where we are, we ran into a perfect sign that we have to pay attention to. So keeping our heads up and get them out of the dash and look around. And as we were traveling through, we ran across this problem. Traveling through, we had our heads up there. And as we looked, we could see a sledder track side-hilled into this convex roll that had no support to it. And it triggered those facet problems that we were talking about. It's still heads-up hockey with those issues in the shallow portions of the snowpack. So you still got to pay attention because those shallow portions allow that fasting process in the cold temperatures to be a little more promoted than where it is a little deeper. So it's understanding that snowpack that goes a long way to managing these problems. So get out there, get educated, check your Avalanche bulletin, but not just that alone. It's understanding how to apply what you read in Avalanche bulletin and how to pick terrain. So, choosing to dive over something like this to do all the POW carves, that's a big risk. So understanding the snowpack goes a long way to mitigating that risk. Come out here, we're just in the Revelstoke area, like really close to Revelstoke in the Monashee Mountains. And Boulder and Frisbee, as we've seen earlier in the video, had some deeper snowpacks. We popped up to one of our kind of secret spots here, and as we were coming in, we noticed a fresh slab avalanche in a cut block here. And so that kind of got our heads up, and then as soon as we jumped off our sleds, we fell through some nice storm snow that we were pretty excited to ride. But then we felt this little airy pocket and then a bunch of like sugary, grainy facets that we're not used to here in Revelstoke, because normally by now we have a 2 meter snowpack, but a lot of areas around seem to still be shallow where that fasting process is well promoted. But in this particular spot, compared to Frisbee the other day, we have this really nicely highlighted, well-grown 21st, we're calling it November 21st surface hoar. And then actually we had a December 3rd surface hoar here and another surface hoar event just before December 3rd. I'm not sure what date to put to it, but those are actually being active. So we can get those moving and step down to this weaker layer. And right here, you can see this beautiful surface hoar, right? That's huge. We're up to like 4, 5, 8 mils. That's holding up this slab above it, this persistent slab problem. So man, I can't tell you enough. If you're riding around Revelstoke and you're outside of Frisbee or Boulder, it is really going to be heads up hockey. So understand how to use the bulletin, and to do that you must get educated so you understand how to speak the English language that the Avalanche professionals do.